Alright, good evening. We're back once again. So, we're doing another Warframe tutorial this evening. This has been something I've been working on for a couple weeks now. I'm pretty excited for it. Kind of got a bug back in to come back onto Warframe for a little bit, just see what was going on. Wasn't really excited for any of this 1999 stuff, but I will probably plan on doing it either tomorrow or Wednesday. We'll see what happens. But I ran into some things that I felt would warrant another how-to. So if you remember previously, we talked about how damage worked, how bleed and hunting munitions worked, and how you can reliably take some things into Steel Path where you don't really need Prime. You don't need Prime weapons, you don't need Prime's frames, where obviously that stuff can, or Prime mods and all that, that stuff can help you. But it's not necessary, Quick caveats before I really get into it. Twitch has been doing some really weird things lately about the highlights in the video producer where I could not clip things. I plan on trying to make this a shorter video than previously. I know the last one was like an hour. I'm going to try and trim it down, but if it will not it keeps doing these processing errors, it may just have to be what it be. It's the whole Twitch VOD. I had planned to do a script for this, but I kind of never got around to it. Or not a script, but an outline to keep myself on track. But so we're gonna kind of wing it. So one of the big things I noticed, I'm not even really sure how I got around to it. I was running around with some mission somewhere, and I was just doing random things, and that popped up. And I was like, what the heck is this? It's another finisher. I didn't really think of anything like it, because that was about the equivalent of what happened. And I started tinkering, a little bit more, and I started tinkering a little bit more, and I realized, oops, I made two of them. Realized there might be something to this. So you'll notice I have a Mark I bow with me. And we're going to be discussing blocking these new finishers and how you can actually take all of this right into Steel Path, and with only a melee weapon of whatever you're choosing, and I do mean whatever, with a few meager exceptions, we can, for all intents and purposes, clear the path. Now, the stipulation to this is presently, and I do mean presently, it's relying mainly on more bleed procs. As far as I can tell, bleed procs are still king. King of the castle on Steel Path for Grenier. Now, that doesn't necessarily work as well with Orican or Corpus, because they have a lot of shield, and those bleed procs just can't get through all that shield usually. So I'm still working on that. So most of what we're going to pertain to is going to be entirely dealing with the Grenier. So you're going to see a lot of mod setups reflecting that, And again, why are you hitting your buddy? Stop hitting your buddy. Eventually, when I get around to figuring out how to handle the Corpus, I'll, get around to it. And that will open up the block. Now, most people don't really bother with this thing, and you might be wondering, okay, that counter may be good, but it only opens up if someone is doing a melee hit on you, and why would you ever worry about that, That's functionally useless. That's what I used to think. But it has a lot more utility than you might have suspected. You have these orange finishers open up. There's actually three of them. There's a front finisher, so if we do a finisher here in front of him, we get that one. There's a back finisher, so if we walk around back. And then there's a ground finisher, which I can do. Some weapons will allow you to knock them down and perform a ground finisher. It's a small window, but you can get it. Some abilities, like Max Pull, allows you to do a ground finisher. So there's 3 of those. And you might think, if you were around in the days before Melee 2.0, some of these look pretty familiar. You're not wrong. These finishers are actually from Melee 1.0. Remember when they brought in the Varazin, and the Varazin defaulted all the finishers to the Mercy kills? All of those animations that were really unique to every weapon type disappeared. Well, they're back now. So this is actually a stealth kill that the bow used to use. I used to run around spy missions and do it. And you're noticing, we're not even really trying. His health's mostly gone. And this is a level 148. Now, granted, it's 140 Butcher, so he didn't have much going on to begin with. But still. So, let's talk mods, because this is mostly a mod situation. Really, it doesn't matter what weapon you bring, as long as you're using the correct mods. You're going to get a pretty universal result, with a few pending exceptions, and I'll kind of get into those here shortly. Alright, so let's look at our bow. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got all the usual, all the misfits. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing. There's nothing on it. Alright. I forgot I cleared this out. You might be thinking, okay, he's going to be using primed pressure point and condition overload and all of this, that, and the other. No, we're not doing any of that. I'll tell you that right now. Now, you can do something. You can use Killing Blow. Killing Blow is a great one. You can use, of course, the Smites. The Smites are always good to have. You can use heavy attacks if you want to, and I would honestly kind of recommend you go that direction. But no, instead we're actually looking at not the regular Madurai mods. We're looking at the Varazin stuff tonight, and the Varazin stuff, in my opinion, is far superior. So here's the first big one. Parry angle. Very basic, just gives you a larger parry angle, so instead of 60 degrees it becomes 80. So I forget exactly what that would look like. It's a much broader cone. And you might, I don't know if these are exactly pertaining. I haven't looked up any exact math or specifics on it. If you set your FOV to whatever you want your parry angle to be, or your blocking angle, you may be able to keep everything that you want blocked on the screen and use that as your point of reference. I don't know if it'll work. Second one, and this is the big one for right now, is parry. 96% chance to open up enemies to finishers after Warframe blocks melee. I thought this was on that whole time, and apparently it wasn't. This is very, 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 very good for getting those finishers. And we'll kind of come back to this, because again, you might be thinking, okay, if it's only the melee-oriented enemies, so your butchers, your scorpions, your chargers, all of those guys go down pretty easy already. Why are we talking about this? We'll get to it. Alright, I promise. We'll get to why that's relevant. This is another good one if you don't have space on your Warframe Guardian Derision. So when you put your melee weapon up, every enemy within 15 meters pulls aggro into you. And this will override other Warframe's abilities, as far as I know. And then it also gives you this nice little thing of plus 30% combo count while blocking. That'll help bring up your combo. If you don't remember, because you never do it, blocking will increase your combo counter. But if you're not really worried about your combo counter, you're not really worried about your melee that badly, then you're not going to look at it, you know? So these are kind of the big three for our melee. Alright, and these we're gonna stick to first. We're gonna be sticking to Nerimon, which allows your melee combo counter to decay instead of just resetting every time. So that's going to allow you to keep your combo for those heavy hits, and we're actually going to be using our combo counter quite a bit as far as individuals. So first up we have Reflex Guard, very important one. This is doing everything the other mod was doing but much better, 90.9% combo counter chance while blocking. And that is probably go up to 100% once we get it. I like using these guys because they're very quick at building up your combo counter, which you're going to see right now. As you can see, we're already up to times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8. Very, very, very easy to build up, and already we're at max. And now we can just stand here and just like that. Now I want you to watch this. That's only 4,000 on a crit. Not a lot of damage, right? We're not talking big potatoes quite yet. See if we can get a rear one. There we go. Yeah, 4,300, give or take. We're not quite at Steel Path numbers, you know? Like, we barely even scratched the health bars, haven't even shown up. Something you can do is that, and we get into slightly higher numbers, but we've lost our combo counter, so now we have to build it back up, you know? And so the process continues. But that's kind of the basic gist. Now you might be wondering, okay, but what the heck's the point of all this? Let's start talking about numbers. How can we get our humble level 30 Mark bow, Mark 1 bow, up to Steel Path numbers without throwing in Forma, without throwing in a potato, I forget the fucking called, Orokin reactor, without any of that stuff. So we're going to look at two big ones here. First, let's grab this guy, because of course. First is Relentless Combination, 100% chance to increase melee combo counter when Slash is dealing a status hits. Alright. And then Weeping Wounds. So these are the big three right here of the whole thing. Weeping Wounds increases your status chance per combo multiplier. Relentless Combination increases the melee counter when a slash procs on. And finally Smite Grenier for when that slash actually hits. Now obviously we don't have a slash proc on this weapon, so it's not going to be as good, but we're still going to have quite a bit of extra damage. And then the piece de resistance is Reflex Coil. And all Reflex Coil does is it's increasing your heavy attack efficiency. This is important, more than you might think. Come on, lady, you can do it. There we go. Now, if we try Finisher, that's more, but that's still not the right numbers, right? You might be thinking, what the heck are you talking about? So, here's the thing. There's some numbers. There's a good chunk of damage. Not very good, but still pretty good chunk of damage. So, here's the thing. You get a far greater damage multiplier for your second heavy melee hit than the first. If you hit someone from the back, it's technically giving you a higher damage multiplier because it thinks you're getting a stealth kill. 1, 2, 3. And you can see, well, it ain't the best damage on the planet. It doesn't really have to be. Because there's another finisher that we haven't talked about yet, and that's, of course, the Mercy finisher. You don't need to kill. You don't need to bring an enemy all the way down to 0% health with any weapon. All you have to do is get them within Mercy range. And that's far easier to do than you might think. It's interesting. Sometimes she gets knocked down, sometimes she doesn't. There's a lot of little intricacies to both heavy attacks and these finishers that... And there we go. There's the finisher. Or there's the Mercy. there's a lot of intricacies that I've noticed aren't being actually properly recorded on the wiki, so I was hoping to do that a little bit of justice tonight. This is a very much, whether it's tried or true or just no one has really looked into it in a while, it does not seem to be covered. What we're doing is definitely not displayed in the data that the game shows us, and it's definitely not the traditional data that people look at. You know, when people will go, let's do a showcase of a weapon, they're gonna say, okay, it does this much damage with bleed, with a slash, puncture, impact. It does this much elemental. You know, has this much crit, and you really kind of formulate your opinion based on those extremely narrow parameters. But every single weapon, every weapon from the ones you start with to the primes, they all have the potential to do far greater things, provided you're clever enough with the mods. And I've talked about this before. The weapon doesn't matter as much as the mods do. You got good mods, you got a good weapon. And on that note, it isn't just quite as black and white as it may always appear if you're watching videos on YouTube and tutorials. All of the prime big damage numbers really don't matter if you're not using the weapon's base damage. You know, we're not using we're not using our heavy attack, but we're not using the basic stats. Now, of course, if you look into slash procs, they use base damage additives like pressure point and all of those, you know. So it can work if we wanted it to, but they aren't necessary, not nearly as much as some people would lead you to believe, because they've been playing the game for doggone 10 years, and they still think the way things worked back in 2014, 2015 are the way they work now. You know, it's just not the case. We've got a far greater range of tools at our disposal, provided you want to be there to use them. Let's take this comma right here. This is an interesting thing. Just your basic rank 0 machete, right? And you can already see here we've got a pretty similar setup. Weeping Wounds, Smite Grenier, Reflex Coil, Relentless Combination, and a little bit of a Killing Blow, because we just don't have the space because it is unranked. You might have noticed. It's unranked. Alright? I want you to remember that. As we go into this, this is an unranked, rank 0 weapon. Any new player can go in and buy the blueprint off the market and find materials within the first couple worlds to build. Let's watch those ticks right there. That's a rank 0 weapon. And we got a seriously high amount of stuff. And you might be looking at what I'm doing here. I'm not actually using those finishers anymore, right? Those counters are not really that relevant. I'm using them when I can add it on to the bleed proc, you know, but they are not the main thing. Now, what they're really good for are staggering. Ooh, there's an 11,000 right. Look at that. And bada bing, bada boom, she's toast. With a rank 0 machete that is unranked. So the name of the game with this, you use the blocking to stop all the hits. You get in close, you get that finisher open up, and you just throw 1, 2 heavy attacks. And then if it also opens up a knockdown, you get that in, you get your bleed proc, they're toast. Right? Alright. So that was an unranked machete. We can still get faster. There are even better ways to do this. Here's my machete wraith. You might think that is a completely piece of shit weapon. That is crap, sir. Who uses a machete wraith in this day and age, right? It's garbage. It's hot ass. Let's take a look what happens. I want you to think about that. Keep that in your mind. This is Machete Wraith. It's balls. No one uses this thing. You know, you did the faction war to get it. You put it together. You've mastered it. You got your mastery rank for it, and you immediately got rid of it, right? Because who uses this thing? Who uses the Machete Wraith? That was two heavy attacks and a mercy. Now, you might be thinking, okay, what's on it? What'd you do to make that happen? Well, you'd be surprised. Does that look familiar? Reflect Coil, Smite Grenier, Killing Blow, Weeping Wounds. The 4. Got a few little guys to help out some things, too. I like Corrupt Charge. It's really nice, especially when you've got Drifting Contact to complement it. Gives you an initial combo. And then we can actually supplement that further with a new aura. I'm not entirely sure when this thing popped up, but it was in my inventory. Not steel charge. We don't want steel charge. We don't need more damage. Do you see what we just did? We don't need that. Look at this. Ready steel. What's ready steel? Squad begins with plus 24 initial combo. Now you might be thinking, oh god, who's going to want that? The most we can get, just start off with the times 4. Just the times 4. Now I want you to think about everything we just talked about. Everything we talked about. We're starting off with a times 4 molt. And we're going to keep it. We're going to get a little bit more to get in here. We're going to get knocked on our ass. Which I'm surprised hasn't happened yet. Times 4. That's it. I don't have a Kavat. I don't have a Sentinel. I don't have a fucking shred of health to my name. I don't have a fucking rifle. I don't have a gun. I've just got a fucking garbage-ass machete. And a few silly mods that no one talks about anymore. And yet, it works wonderfully. Remember the Ghoul Saw? I did a whole big thing on the Ghoul Saw. Let's bring the Ghoul Saw back out. Guess who got Formud? Look how spiffy that Night Watch color scheme is. That bad boy needs a Night Watch skin. Let's put it together. Let's just do exactly everything we've just talked about, right? Gives us a nice combo, a little bit more status. Good looking numbers. There we go. God, I love this thing. Again, unranked. This is unranked with space for more. Oh, there she goes. Not quite yet fast as the machete, but you know what? It's unranked. She'll get there. Can't do that with the machete, can you? I know what you're saying, Faint. This is all fine and dandy. Running around in here with a chicken with your head cut off. But let's actually see it in action, right? You want to see what it looks like in our actual Steel Path application here, huh? I understand. What was I going to throw on? And again, we don't really need to worry about attack speed because we're not using the attacks. We're just using our heavy attack. But it gives us a little more damage, and that's going to get put into the slash proc. Alright, got our Ghoul Saw all set up, ready to go. Don't need anything else. Let's try one of these. Now, I'm going to give you a big, fat asterisk. Let's get this list here, alright? 2 bombards, 6 butchers, 2 heavy gunners, 6 lancers, 4 scorpions. When the fuck have you ever seen 2 bombards in one place? Take them off. Alright? Same with the Orc and Battle Group. Take them off. Alright? They're a huge fucking pain in the ass because those rockets, they're going to be shooting them the entire time. They move really fucking slow. They're very small and hard to see. And if you're doing some practice with blocking, you're not going to be able to fucking, like, you're going to get killed because they're going to explode behind you. Or they're going to apply a fucking blast proc. You know? But this is working just fine here. Alright. Also, they give you an insane amount of butchers and scorpions, so you're going to have to kind of fiddle through them. But it gives us a wonderful situation where we've got fucking enemies every which way. What do we do here? There's lots of nice, but again, this is where Relentless Combination would have been fantastic to keep on. But that parry angle is also very nice. Whoops. We were doing pretty good for having no health and being up against 18 Steel Path enemies. Now, one thing we haven't really discussed, kind of a nice thing about these finishers, they give you invul frames. So that's really good when you've got a situation like this where you're kind of surrounded and you need to get rid of some people. But I'm going to ask you, while I'm doing this, just guarding my scorpions here, look at what we're not seeing. There's something missing. Someone is absent here that's kind of important. And I'm wondering if you see what it was. It was the slash proc. Not every finisher applies the same procs as a heavy attack. That's a very big and important thing. Because you're going to have to find a different place to apply your slash procs from. And see, because of that, this is far less useful. Far less useful. Because we're still dealing with level 140 enemies. And we're not putting slash procs on. We're not putting bleed on them. So you're going to need to have that source from somewhere. You don't have to have it on the finisher, mind you, but you do have to have it somewhere. Now I want you to look out here, as we're just kind of sitting here, blocking everything coming in, building up that counter where we would be if it wasn't at max. What's happening to all the enemies? Gotta wake her up. I think she fell asleep. Do you see what's going on? There's one. Maybe we can get another one here. This parry angle is insane. There's another one. There's 2, 3. Who else gets one? 4. We can apply these combo counters, or these openers, from any direction. This is reflection. Now, it is a double-edged sword. This is very good for if in this kind of situation you're running around, you've got literally everyone on the map shooting at you, and you're just trying to stay alive. This is going to help you do that. It's going to stop people from shooting, and especially what's really nice, it's doing it without using any of your energy up, you know? So we can do this. Oh, I'm sorry, there was our mercy kill. Beautiful, look at that. You see how fast that was? That was a single melee hit. Or a single heavy attack. And we've already got our counter back up again. That fast. That one's kind of bum, but you gotta, like, the ghoul saw is really an acquired taste. You gotta make sure you stand in the right spot. Nice thing is you can cancel out of anything with that mercy kill. It's insanely cheap. Not just the amount of damage it does, And I don't even think we need to worry about these guys. Yeah, he's toast. Ah, we died together. That was a nice example of reflection doing something good. You saw both those guys were stunned in the back, and we were revving up on this bad boy here. Also, as far as critical hits, we haven't really talked about crits because they don't matter as much as you think they would. But I believe we get guaranteed crits or higher crit rate at least on staggered enemies. Oh yes, we do. Look at that. Than ones that aren't staggered. Can we get a twofer? Nah. And the last Mohican. Wish there's a way to extend that out. So yeah, that's just one of the many chances you could have at being an idiot with solely the ghoul saw. Talk about a different weapon. My sheave, my lovely little sheave I've been using since I started this game. So again, that should look familiar, right? Let's take this and we're just gonna take it all off. So, there's our ground, and ground has a slash proc. Isn't that cool? I mean, we weren't even really trying there, right? There's nothing on this thing. And he's toast. He's gone. He's dead. He's ceased to be. No smite. We didn't have any smite on there. Let's try it with a gunner. Ooh. Oh yeah, that was without any counter either. That was like, what, 3 times counter? Fuck me. I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button. Let's try that again. Again, for not having to actually hit the heavy attack, that isn't terrible. And then let's try the back. Didn't really do anything, so we're not going to worry about that. Oh yeah, you know the great thing also about having this as 100% counter chance, if you wasn't so goddamn big, is you can just keep doing it. You can just keep doing it, and they can't do anything to you. Didn't get the ground there. Oh, and there's a mercy. Again, there's absolutely nothing on this knife. And I think we still have reflection, right? So we could actually probably try and take her out from way out there, huh? In fact, we don't even need this. We don't even need ready steel, do we? Yeah, let's leave it on. No, we'll take it off. I want to see it without any combo whatsoever. No combo. No, you know, no combo. Period. No combo. just reflection. Let's spawn her. Let's see if we can get a ranged stagger and just keep doing that. Yep, there we go. Just can't do anything about it. They just can't do it. Now, the other problem with this knife is its parry angle is absolutely atrocious, like 45%. Tiny. Teeny weeny. Minuscule. I missed it. Oh, and accidentally mercied her. She's gone. That was it. Not trying to build up the counter. No damage. Just one little thing. And in fact, we didn't even need that one little thing, did we? We could have even just taken that off too, huh? Didn't even need it because we didn't try and get in melee. It can be any weapon, guys. Any weapon, any frame. It doesn't matter what your low at is, alright? There's no meta at this point as far as I'm concerned. You can take anything you want in, and you're going to be fine, alright? That's my big takeaway from all of this. As long as your weapon has a slash proc, no matter how small. Let's do that. Let's see how small we can get. I just saw it. There, Prova Vandal. My beloved beat stick, right? Get it out of here. Get it out of here. Now, impact electricity, right? Impact electricity. Let's see what happens. Impact electricity. Hey, what's that there? Did you see it? It's got a slash proc. Because this isn't just a beat stick, this is a machete. And because it's a machete, you got a goddamn you get a slash proc on the heavy hit. You can go on the melee page of the fandom wiki, just the wiki, I don't know why I call it the fandom, and you can go and look at all of the weapon types that have a forced proc. All machetes have a forced slash proc, regardless of what they are in nature. This thing is a fucking baton. And yet, we still get a slash proc. Now granted, it's not a whole lot, because we haven't really built it up. You know, it's not doing the same shit the Machete Wraith is doing, because the Machete Wraith has a lot more slash built into it inherently. I mostly want to see what that fucking rear is, but she's not cooperating. Come all the way. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna make her come to me. I don't know why they spawn against the wall, but it's getting aggravating. Come on, Stompy. I've got to make it in before she gets back to the wall. And because it's a machete, Apparently, you still get a slash proc on that fucking finisher. So yeah, it's not doing terribly. You know, not nearly as good as the stuff we looked at previously, but oh, she got me. Yeah. Anyway, that's all we're going to discuss this time. Um, I'm almost positive that I went way longer than I expected to. I'll try and have this cut up into something more digestible, but, you know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And I'll just have the VOD up and available. We'll continue making these as I discover new things and as the game adapts. Tomorrow we're actually probably going to play the new stuff, the 1999 crap. I'm probably not going to enjoy it. Honest to God, probably not going to have the best time, but we're going to do it nonetheless. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm probably going to go to bed, so have yourself a terrific night, and I'll see you later.